welcome Mr. Pinaki Day. We have our facilitator for the second session. I'm already announcing it's going to be a fabulous one. And you should make the most of what he has to offer. And I'm just reading his profile out here, which is being shortened. So you all must take time out to Google him and see what his fantastic work does and has done. So a very warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
A multiple award-winning graphic illustrator designer who regularly works for renowned publishers like Penguin Random House, HarperCollins, Hachette. Is it Routledge or Routledge?
It's
Routledge. Routledge, Primus, Oxford University Press, Singapore University Press, Bloomsbury, Orient Black Swan, Worldview, Picador, Simon & Schuster, and many others. He has it all here. He has designed almost 500 book covers till date. He is the winner of the Publishing Next Prize for the Best Book Cover Design in India twice in 2017 and 2019. His book cover for Calcutta by Kunal Basu won the prestigious Oxford Bookstore Prize for the Best Cover Design in India at Jaipur Literary Fest 2017. His layout design on Satyajit Ray's archival manuscripts has drawn accolades from all across the globe. A Charles Wallace Trust Fellow, his PhD is in comics theory. Pinaki is one of the editors of the prestigious annual magazine Longform, published from HarperCollins 2018, which is generally regarded as the first global comics magazine from India. He is the Indian Comics Advisor of Magnesia, the biggest ever exhibition on Asian comics, curated by Paul Cravat for the Barbican, London. A big round of applause.
So first of all these things doesn't matter too much. Frankly, I know, I can imagine myself in your sort of place. Maybe how many years? Maybe 30 years back, or maybe like that. And I always, I was in awe of people who used to be like, do work for other people, great publishers. And I've just learned that, you are all writers, right? You all write. So, I'm really scared because, frankly, I do tackle a lot of writers, but I know young writers are, really, really good. And so it's really difficult to sometimes, also match their wavelength. So one of the things that I try to do is to be like you all and, try to see the world the way you want to see it, right? So if I am, seeing the world, a bit differently, do correct me, right? Because I really, really wanted to, do it your way, okay? So what we will do today, and this is something that I was thinking about, we will actually take a class or whatever, not a class, let's not talk of it as a class. We'll take a kind of a short introduction, give a short introduction to illustration, right? In books, in children's book, and all of you, in any kind of book, but mostly in children's book. And as you all know, illustration plays a huge, huge role, right? So what I'll try to do first is to give a small presentation, okay? Because I have some book covers and I'll concentrate mostly on book covers because that's the first thing that you see, right? Although books are now, e-books are there and everything, sometimes the tangibility of the book, the materiality of the book is also very interesting. And the first thing that you see is basically the book cover, right? So I'll talk about book covers. All of you will write and all of you have books and all of you have to have a book cover, right? So they will be designers and they want you to, they want you to sort of get to know the story and then they will try to design something out of it, right?
Sir, actually, we have designed our own book covers. So
oh, you do your own book covers?
Yes.
That's the
we
best.
actually illustrate our own books.
So wonderful. I cannot write, so you do both. So wonderful. That way I cannot even sort of wonderful. But great. So we will all of you may not be illustrators as well, right? It doesn't matter because ultimately, remember, doing a book cover or illustrating a book cover or giving it, even understanding a book cover or a book illustration is basically about ideas. Okay, so what we will try to do is to look at way you can actually play with ideas in order to make this happen. Okay? So let me do one thing. Let me start off with a very short presentation, give you some book covers, and then we will proceed accordingly. And I'll try to make something, I'll try to get something out of you today as well. All of you will have papers and all that, right? So you don't have to draw, but I want you to give ideas for your own stories. Even if you don't draw, even if you draw stick figures, that's fine. But I want you to play on with ideas so that you can actually go on to do your own book covers, right? So she does it herself. I don't know how many of you. Okay, wonderful. So how many of you do your book covers yourself? Okay. Those who don't do it, don't worry. I mean, it's not as if the world has completely collapsed. It's not like that. But it is great if you can participate with another person who may be a great illustrator. Remember, ultimately collaboration. You also need to know, right? If you want to collaborate with a great illustrator, for example, you also need to know the mind of the illustrator and how things work, right? So basically, we will be, talking about that. So before going into this, let me show you something very interesting. There are certain things. Can you see, or will I do it here? Can you see this?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So for example, this is the book, right? Say it can be of any shape, right? So whenever we do a book cover design or whenever do a design, the first thing that you have to keep in mind is the size of the book, right? That's a very important thing. And many of you may actually you may not care about the size too much. But frankly, size do matter. I'll tell you why. So there are books of many shapes, right? So for example, the shape of the book actually also sort of influences the way you look at the book, right? So when you go to the shelf, if there is a small book, you look at it in a certain way. If it's a big book, you look at it in a certain way. It's called the format of the book. So the format is extremely important, very important to know. So if you have written a book, say for example, have you seen the Harry Potter books, right?
Yes.
So it's in a kind of a format, which is really interesting. It's not a paper, it came out in the paperback, but it was originally in the royal hardback, right? So the format was interesting because it was just optimum for the children to take it in. So it's very important. First thing, so very simple. The format is very important. The format. What format the book will be. So for example, you can have a simple rectangular format of certain size. You can have a more horizontal format. The orientation changes, right? So the format is very important. You don't have to think too much about it, but I personally feel that the format is very important. Now when you have the book, whatever format it is, it's very important to know the edge of the book. So this is the edge of the book, the edge, okay? So in printing terms, we call it, or for an illustrator, the edge is not called an edge. You know what is it called? It's called bleed, P-L-E-E-D, okay? So whenever you go to a printer and you say, you do it according to a bleed, you don't feel flustered. The bleed is basically the edge of the book. Right? So, why I'm telling you all these? I'll tell you why. Because whenever you do design, one of the most important things that you have to keep in mind is space. Space is crucial. So today, you look at this room, for example. If it was crammed, it would have been a horrible experience for all of you. You are all sitting in a very comfortable way. The room is spread out. So you need space, right? So you need space for everything. Everything needs to breathe, right? So if you go into a kind of a crowded place, you feel what? A bit of breathlessness, right? You can be claustrophobic, right? So illustration, paintings, everything needs to breathe. And unless you let it breathe, because you are the creator, even writing needs a bit of space, right? That kind of breathing space. So if you are the creator, you need to know about space a lot. Now, can anybody teach anybody about space? I don't think so. Space is something that cannot be taught, that cannot be actually, this is something that you feel and that you know, and it is a bit intuitive. So whenever you look at, say for example, when you go out, you see big hoardings. Sometimes there are hoardings which are maybe only one word. There is nothing else. Everything is white. but there is only one word, but still you actually look at it. Why? It's not crammed with pictures, but still you look at it. Why? Because it allows you to breathe, right? So whenever you look at so this is the book page, right? This is the book cover. This is the cover. So this is what? The space of the cover. So any space which is a blank space, any space which is not full of anything, do you know what we call it? Very interestingly, we call it negative space. I'll tell you why it is called negative. Because there is nothing in it. If there is something, it is positive. So, for example, I am standing here. This space is positive because I am here. Nothing is there. It's called negative space. Yeah, so since there is nothing, we call it negative space. So, what is illustration all about? Manipulation. You can draw well, you can draw wonderfully well, but ultimately, the most important thing, and many big illustrators cannot understand this, is the use of negative space, because unless you have the idea of negative space, I know it's a very tough concept now, but keep this in mind, look at everything around you and you'll see what is negative space and what is positive space. There is a magic in the way you distinguish between the two, right? So, the entire cover, when you go, for example, you want to illustrate something, or you want your illustrator to do something, right? So what is the entire cover? The entire cover is a negative space. There is nothing now. So what you will do? You will put things inside, right? So you will put the title inside, you will put the figures inside, you will put some animals inside, you will put whatever inside, a dragon inside, I don't care. Then what happens? The negative space decreases, right? So negative space decreases. So you have to see that the negative space decrease but not too much. Because ultimately you cannot go out with a blank cover. If there is only a negative space, it's not a cover. You have to put something, right? So some of the negative space will go, but you cannot allow it to go entirely. That is where breathing becomes a very interesting metaphor. Remember, you should breathe and you should allow others to breathe as well, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise there will be nothing. So, sorry, but anyway, yeah, except yourself. So what is very interesting is that the world needs that space. And even in your imagination, you need that space. Okay, so let me show you some wonderful covers that I have chosen for you and see how things work out. Okay, how the negative space is manipulated, how they create so many interesting covers. Now, there is a problem with us sometimes in India, We actually look at covers only as a decorative element, right? Because whenever we see a cover, oh, it looks wonderful, this is beautiful, this is red, this is white, this is yellow, and I love it because you love those colors. It's not about that. A cover should be a metaphor of your book. Whatever you are writing, if the cover doesn't add to it, it doesn't become that nice. Okay? So let me show you some. And remember, a cover, so this is negative space, right? Now what we do? You fill up. Oh, isn't it? Yeah, sorry. So what you do? You fill up things, right? And what happens? The negative space decreases. Now with what it decreases? In a cover there will be a title, right?
Yeah.
So the title may be whatever, horror stories, the title may be, whatever it be, right? Wonderful. So you can give that as well. And there may be a figure, there may be some decorations, there may be some embellishment, and there will also be what? The author's name, right? You don't want your names to go missing. Wow, that's wonderful. I love you because sometimes the illustrators' names are not given. And that's actually injustice.
Inside, they don't let you.
But sometimes the illustration is also important. They will also feel bad. So it is also good to give the illustrator's name as well. So let us see. What will happen is you can have the title, you can have the author's name, and you can have the illustrator's name. Now remember, you cannot write it just like anything else. So what do you use? You use fonts. Remember, either you handwrite it or you use fonts. Now fonts in cover is very, very important. And I'll show you. Sometimes you can just design a cover with fonts only. You don't need anything else, just fonts. And I'll show you how it can be done. Okay? I'll give you examples. Or you can just, handwrite it. You don't have to use your computer type. You can actually handwrite it. So, yeah, so for example, so you can use calligraphy. You know what is calligraphy?
Yes.
The art. So for example, if you draw, say for example, you say, I have written L, right? But if I use, elaborate calligraphic reference to draw this, it becomes much more beautiful. So what is very interesting is we have fonts in title or whatever, handwritten or fonts in title, in author's name, the illustrator's name, all these are there. And you also need figures and you also need stuff that will depict what the cover is. Okay? Keeping all this in mind, we will see some covers. And you all think that you need to be wonderful illustrators, accomplished illustrators, award-winning illustrators to do a great cover. False. You actually need only one thing that a lot of illustrators also don't have: imagination. Let me show you. You think I'm overstating it, but I'll show you examples which will actually be like this. So, this is Mac. Just a minute. Yeah, not a problem. No, I copied it from a Mac, so that is why you begin. So look at this cover. For example, just a minute. Yeah. Can I just? Yeah, wonderful. Look at this cover. This is a very, very good book. If you haven't read it, you can. It's by Christian Robinson. It's a book called Another. Okay? Now look at the way, what has happened here? Look at the negative space. Have you seen? If you do it now, most of your parents would say, why are you leaving that negative space? Why are you leaving that white space? Why don't you fill up with somebody else? You feel that there will be only a cat and the girl? But don't hear, you only hear what you need or what you want. Okay? So look at this cover. It's a white cover. Look at the way this cat, the O is nestled within here. And look at this. Can you see the dots? And the girl also had those. Remember, this is basically the hair beads. Okay? And look at the way the hair beads are used. And this is written by hand. Can you see? Almost stenciled hand. So when you do a cover, and this is very interesting, the first thing that you remember is the negative space, or sometimes it may be called white space as well. White means not white. Here it is white. It can be blank, whatever, but negative space. And look at the titles. Now this is actually written in what? This is written by type. So it contrasts and it makes it a beautiful picture. So this doesn't require a wonderful, artist to do this. What it requires is imagination. Absolutely that. I think you can also draw like that. I think sometimes you can draw better than this. But it's not about whether you can draw better. It's not about that. It's about how you are representing your drawing in the cover. Okay, that's the whole issue. So if somebody's, red is not right, somebody's brushstroke is a bit, not right, you feel it's not right, it's not a great thing. The most important thing is to convey what is called the emotion of the cover. Every cover is a kind of an emotion. And you can easily feel the kind of cuteness, the cute cat and the kind of emotion it conveys, kind of innocence that it conveys. Let me show you the next one. This is of course a very big, Alexander Joyner is a brilliant illustrator. And this is Dr. Seuss Horse Museum. Now look at the way the museum, so this of course requires a lot of drawing skills. But still, if you look at it, can you see the frames? So how the frames are used in order to nestle the type? So look, this is a horse, all these are horse paintings, right? If you look at it closely, remember it's a horse museum, right? Painting, of the horse museum. And you can see they are watching, and of course look at the dog. The dog is of course looking wondrously to the horses. It's a different animal, first of all. And look at the way this thing is written inside the frames. So you know that it is about museum. You know the text will be something, but the story. will be something that is happening inside the museum. It actually happens inside the museum. So it's very interesting that just by placing the text within the frame, you can make this understand. You can make this story, talk. Here, of course, you may complain that there is not much space, right? There is not much negative space. But you know why there is not much negative space? Because it is about a museum, and the museum is full of pictures. So sometimes, if you overload the image with a lot of pictures, it actually signifies that it is about plenty. Okay? So what is very interesting is that just the act of putting things and act of not putting things makes you differentiate between, a brilliant work and a work that is also. Look at this. I love this. And this is of course a very cool book. Of course, Vanjali Rao's books have brilliant covers. And this is actually the boy at the back of the class. Now, what will be the temptation? The temptation would be to just draw a boy who is sitting at the back. So most of us would do that, right? So you know who are the backbenchers? How many of you are backbenchers here? So you are the backbencher? Okay. So it's wonderful that sometimes backbenchers we don't care. Say if you are a front bencher, you don't try to get back. It's anyway a pain. Who should care? So that kind of feeling happens, and it's a great temptation that you draw something and you have a boy or a girl at the back and you draw that. But look at the way this illustrator has got it right. So this is actually a very cool school bag. And at the back of the school bag, the title is written, and it is written in such a way that it can be part of. So it's about a school kid, it's about somebody going to school, and you can understand what is it all about. So great cover actually conveys that. That is very, very important. Let me go. This is of course a much more difficult one. So let me get to this. Tell. Sit and tell.
They could also make a cover that they make the boy at the back or the teacher is writing on the board and the boy.
They can do that. So that is another way, right? So there is no way. There is no one way. But sometimes you also choose the intelligent way. Yeah. Because if you see you can show everybody, right? Say for example, what is your name? Shreya. So I can show you, right?
Yeah.
But I can only draw your glasses and I can draw your postures and I know this is Shreya. Right? So this is what makes it so interesting. Sometimes you don't tell everything. A cover is also about not telling everything, giving a bit of mystery. So that once you turn the page, you know what will come up. You understand what I'm trying to say? So look at this, it's called lamp slide. Now again, look at this very interestingly. You could have actually written the title in a straight line. Why have you slided the title? Because it is called lamp slide. Yes, so what you do is, when you draw, say for example you are doing your own book, and you have, say a book is called Up, okay? And it's not the film, right? You have written your book called Up, okay? So say, it's about a boy flying away, or a girl flying away, okay? And of course returning back, but it's experiment. So it's a book called Up. You can write Up like this, right? Very bad handwriting I have, sorry. Say for example you have written it like that. For example, the good thing is you may actually write it like this as well, right? Because it shows that you are going up. So sometimes type, calligraphy, titles are equally important. Tell me.
We can write inside the words also, we can draw something inside the words.
Absolutely. Always. So this is what I want. I want you to do that. I have only told you, I'm telling you only one way of doing things. There are a million ways, and you must understand, I am here, talking, but I'm not always right. So always question me. It is important, right? I like your idea. So you may have other ideas as well. So what I'm trying to say is that types are important in a book cover. Even inside illustration, sometimes the writing, the handwritten stuff, the calligraphy makes a difference. How you write, the way you write actually makes a very big difference. Okay, so this is lamp slide. Let me show you more. And then look at this beautiful image. Look at this wonderful cover. Don't you like this cover?
Yes.
Whether you like it or not. Now, this is very interesting. It's called True Man. It's about a turtle. But look at the way the girl and the turtle looks at each other, and look at the way the space is used. Can you see? They could have easily filled it in with color, right? But why they didn't fill it up with color, I don't know. Because they want to concentrate on the girl and the turtle. So they kept it white.
And sometimes too much filled cover will also don't look good.
That's what I'm trying to tell. That is why you need negative space, right? You need space to breathe. So that's a wonderful idea. That's what you want. You don't want to cram everything. And it's also important to understand that in a cover, so the first thing that you have understood is the type. You know? Type talks. Okay? The title, the type, or the handwritten stuff, they talk. That's a very important thing. And next thing now you have understood is, every cover is also about focus. You need to focus on something central. Otherwise, everything will get lost. Look, you go to the bookshop, and the bookshop is full of books. And your book is somewhere down, somewhere down. And you feel slighted. Why my book is actually inside? It should be out. It should be, displayed. But remember, it should have a stunning cover to be out and be displayed. And then suddenly everybody will notice your book, right? So what you need is to use the space very well. Otherwise, these things will not happen the way you want. Okay? Look at this very difficult cover to do. These are books which you may not find here. So I love these books. I'm still like a kid, who love to read these kind of books. I love cartoons, I love comics, I love books like these. So people complain that I have never grown up, right? So, but that's fine. I agree. This is a book called When Sadness is at Your Door. Look at the two things I have talked about. Now, if you actually write it in type, will it be nice? No, you have written it where? In a handwritten. And look at the way it has been written, right? There is the floating quality, right? Sadness has that kind of floating quality. The idea of the act of, the very idea of sadness is something that is very will-o-wisp-like, right? Very floating. And that is why when sadness is at your door, and look at the way, this is sadness. I don't know what sadness looks like. This is the imagination that sadness would look like.
Being sad.
Right? So yeah, and you instantly feel sad, really, really sad. And this cute boy is actually asking. So, it's an encounter with sadness. It's a very difficult topic. Even adults cannot write like this. Right? Remember, children write better than adults all day long. Of course, unless you grow up, you will write very well. But you all write wonderfully well. Look at this. This is another way of looking at things. So I've talked about two things. Type, talks. I've also talked about focus. What is it about? Pay attention. This is the name of the book. So it's written there in the doormat, right? This is the doormat. But have you noticed one thing? Are you looking at what you are looking at?
Somebody is confronting the boy.
Yes, somebody is confronting the boy. So somebody is where? Not depicted, right? So it's actually something called perspective, right? I am looking at the boy. So what I am looking at? I am looking at the toy, I am looking at the dog, I am looking at the cap, I am looking at the goggles, I am looking at the ball, I am looking at the bat, I am looking at the medal.
And that's why it's saying pay attention.
That is why it's called pay attention. Very, very nice. That's why it's called pay attention. But if it was just strewn about, it would not have been nice. But look, we have a feet here. Can you see?
Yes.
The feet. So there is an implication that somebody is looking. Somebody. It may be you. It may be me. It may be anybody. It may be a character. It may be a character. So look, this is, for example, I am looking at this. So I am this man, right? With the feet here. So this is called a very tough term, very difficult term. The way you look at it. Say for example, I am looking at you from here, right? I am looking from you from here. Will you all look the same? No. So it's very interesting to note that the same picture, this is the picture of the room, right? I can look from here, I can climb up, nobody will allow me to do that. If I climb up and do something, it will look different. If I come from here, it looks different. I go here and everything, it's the same thing, right? You all haven't changed, right? So this is perspective, the way you look at things and from where you look. The place from where you look and the way you look. That's wonderful and that's most important. Sometimes, if you look from very close, the scenery looks different. If you look from far, it looks different. If you look a bit sideways, it looks different. So, very important. So, it's a very tough term. I know you will not remember, but still, it's called perspective matters. Okay? Every illustrator look at the perspective. And this is also important in writing. You know, when you write, you are writing about a character. So if you are writing from the point of view of the character, you know, the outlook may change, right? So perspective, it's a tough word, but a very, very important word. Very, very important word. What happened? Okay. Look at this. What? Okay. Look, you know, the class is so heavy, I'm sorry for this, that the screen has gone black. Are you all enjoying? I mean, yes or no?
We are enjoying.
Yeah, but the more important is that your day will enjoy. It's the word. So look, I have grown old, right? So sometimes I feel difficult to connect. Even my son, says that, you don't connect, he speaks in a very different language and I don't know this language, right? I'm not an old man, but I think I'm old. But so you need to somehow connect. So look at this. Have you seen this amazing cover? It's a wonderful book as well. If you get it, Corina, it actually won a lot of awards last year. What is it? It's a boy. Or a girl?
I think it's a girl.
Okay. Nice. I don't argue, that's a girl. What is she doing?
Picking up heart shape.
But it's a flower, but it's actually a...
Butterfly.
Is it a butterfly or it's a
No,
heart?
it's a heart.
Look, it's a heart.
Yes.
But it's a yellow heart, no? It's a bit sad. Right? So she's planting her yellow heart.
But the heart's supposed to be red.
But it's yellow. I know why heart sometimes gets yellow. You know why? When you feel sad, it becomes yellow. When you feel a bit jealous, it becomes green. And when you get a bit more, agitated, then it becomes black. Angry hearts. So it's very, very... Green, huh? Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, puke is green. I'm not going there. So what I'm trying to say is, it is a beautiful cover. Why it is brilliant? It has got everything. The negative space, the focus, the metaphor to the story, and although this is normal type, it works. So whenever you do your own covers, or whenever you plan your own covers and you want to brief your illustrator, you should have a clear idea of what you are trying to do. You don't over-instruct them because nobody likes over-instructions because they are also artists. You should respect them. But still you may have ideas. And it is always good to give them ideas. Ultimately, any work is a conversation, is a collaboration. Although it is your work, remember, the artist has also got a great part to talk. Okay. Look at this. Look at this fun. It's not great, painting or something like that. But look at the fun element in the cover. It's Saturday, then there is Sunday, and of course, horrible Monday. Yeah, it's a weekend. So Saturday is full of what?
Fun.
Full of fun. But you could have drawn it in a very conventional, realistic way. But they have used a very interesting way. And look at the way they have drawn the city. Can you see the crossroads of the city? And look at the way the Saturday is done. The fun element comes through, right? This is very interesting, called Coco. This is conventional drawing. Let me show you this. This is a one. So if you haven't read this book, please read it. It's brilliant. and it's one of the best children's book I've read last year. It's called Small in the City. And look at the cover. I think anybody would have given their left and right hand to do a cover like this. This is so cinematic. Very cinematic. Imagine any one of you. You are in what? Calcutta today, right? Imagine you land up in New York and you don't know the city. You don't know the city. Of course you may. Of course you will one day. But you don't know the city. Whatever you are here, you know this city, you know these lanes and all that, so you feel comfortable. And you are suddenly in another city and you don't know anybody, and you feel a bit small, you want to sort of hide, you want to just go on, you don't know, you're tentative, right? So this girl is actually traveling in a train, and in the glass, through the glass, you can see the reflection of a big city. There is no space here. But yet it works because she is what? She's there, she's big. Her perspective is big, but she's very small in a crammed city. The city is crammed, so you don't leave any negative space. You fill it up with what? Buildings and all that. So, cars, vehicles, buildings, lights. It's a mad city, right? Look at this. This is actually a love story. And look at the lightness of the cover. Look at this works well. It is not colorful. Yeah, it is colorful. It's too bluish. And there is a bit of pink. It's called Field Note on Love. And there is a train. So, it is a kind of small love affair that happens on the train. But look at the way the love is written. It's written in a very scrawled across, right? That's a very interesting kind of way of writing and making the cover come alive. This is, okay, look at this. This is actually by my friend. Rajiv Ipe is a brilliant illustrator. So he was a friend, and and when I go to NIT, he is my co-teacher. So what happens is, Rajiv always plays with perspective. So look at this. It's called Pishi and me, right? So probably this is me, right? And this is Pishi, right? Whatever. And look at the way it is drawn. Can you see?
Can I just interrupt over here? Pishi
Yeah.
children, Pishi in Bengali is Bua.
Bua. Yeah. So Pishi is Bua. That means it may be, in English it would be
Aunt.
aunt is like universal. So aunt. So you and your aunt. So of course you and your aunt goes shopping. You go everywhere. You have a wonderful friendship with your aunt. And this book is about it. But look at the way this is drawn. This can be actually drawn from your neighborhood, your locality. And look at the way he has included common elements from Indian street. So you just see the thela wala, you see the things, the thela wala doesn't play a role in the story. But you have put it here. Why? Because it builds up the atmosphere. So very important. Next is, all the cover should be atmospheric. It should convey the atmosphere. If you want it to convey the atmosphere, if you want to focus, that's fine. But because if you want to convey the atmosphere, it should all be very, very atmospheric. Okay? This is another. If you find this, please read this book. Brilliant book. It's called Amachi's, it's wonderful. Amachi's Amusing Machines. So Amachi would be what? Grandmother? Right. So it's in Kerala, right? Kerala?
Ammachi.
Tamil.
Tamil, it's Tamil. Yeah, it's Amachi's Tamil. Amachi's Tamil, sorry. So it's grandmother, amazing machines. And look at the way, I haven't, shown you the inside. Look at this. Another great way of doing the covers is to do it with silhouettes. You know silhouettes? You know what is a silhouette?
Like a shadow.
Yeah, shadow. You don't see everything, but you see the shadows. Right? So shadows sometimes can be a one. So what is this all about? It's called little bit, right? But have you seen? Little bit is shaped in a way that it almost looks like a building. And the boy is actually reading below. So you could have drawn the building. But instead what you are doing? You are creating the building with the title, little bit. This is what is imagination all about. This is what. So when you go to the bookstore, so you have bookstores here, right? Many bookstores in Kolkata. You go, you study the covers, and you think, why have they put this here? And if you are dissatisfied, if you don't like it, there are covers which are horrible. You redo the covers. You do it your way. You draw it and do it your own way. And I love that. Okay? I'll go a bit faster because I want to give you a small kind of exercise to do. Same thing. Look at this. It's a book called Warren. This is for a bit older, not too old, but this is like the teen books. But look at the way this is done. So this is all like the warhead, the atomic explosion and the thing that can happen, and the clouds that can happen, atomic cloud. So everything is drawn like that. So this is beautiful. Look at the way. Sometimes you don't need any pictures. You can be just decorative. Right? Don't you like this? It's simple. We set the dark on fire. Such a pregnant title, such a wonderful title, and you don't have any picture. You could have given a picture, right? You could have. But what you do? You choose to write. So fire, you don't need fire. The fire is actually what? The font itself is fiery, right? So basically we set the dark on fire. Every word makes it look beautiful. So when you are planning your book, you look at colors. You look at things and you will know. This was a very, very popular book. Most of you may have read it. Look at the way this boy is looking to us. If this boy was not looking to us, this would have been a simple cover. It would have been just 3 people or 4 people cycling. Nothing. The fun element is actually the boy looking backwards. That draws you to the cover. That is the pull. The boy is looking at you. He is almost winking at you. Come and join the adventure. I am going. Are you all going? He's almost calling you, right? The boy? It's an emotional kind of connect. So sometimes a simple act of just turning the head or drawing the head in a tilted way actually draws the reader's in. You understand? These are small things, but small things matter. Okay? Next. Tomorrow most likely. Look, it is all written like a cloud. Tomorrow most likely. It's all cloudy and all that. We don't know what will happen. It's in the clouds and it's written like a cloud. Okay? This is like a computer drawing. I can do that. But look at the humor. Okay? So there are many ways of doing it and I'll just go a bit faster. Look at this cover. I love this. So when you talk about loneliness, it is very difficult to do a cover. How do you talk about yourself, somebody who is alone? So it's only the cat, and there is no human being here, but it actually speaks about loneliness. Okay? This is the fun cover. So what do you do when your parents are not at home? Masti. So what is happening? So you draw a house, right? And all the places are what? Dark. This is what?
Light.
And what are you doing? Jumping on the bed. So, sometimes these kind of fun elements can also enliven a heart. So what I'm trying to show you, I'm not trying to say that you do things like that. But what I'm trying to say is that look at these elements and how it works and how it creates a fun. The cover becomes a bit of a fun element in the way you do it. Beautiful, right? Night was zero. So these are covers that I really, really like. Remember? Only decorative thing. Don't you feel this is amazing? This looks amazing as a gift as well. You can actually want to gift this. It's called Fox and the Star. So this is a forest. So can you find the fox?
Yeah.
Where?
Underneath.
Yes, the fox is here. But it is integrated because it is what? Hiding in the forest. Why should you make it more apparent, right? So that is how you draw it. Okay? Now, before I end, do you know Satyajit Ray?
Yes.
You have? Satyajit
He
Ray?
got the Oscar award.
Yeah. He used to live where, you know? So you can get Oscar 7 from Calcutta. That's a big thing. Okay, so very, very important. So he used to live in Calcutta. He was, of course. Look, you can go, you should go outside. The world should be your oyster. You should always travel. Okay? That's what it is. But if you can write something about your own city, nothing like that. Because that is where you have lived, that is where you have grown up. It may be the most coolest city, but there is something cool for you in this city which others may not know. And you want the world to know. Right? So that is what, yeah.
There's only one girl here from Calcutta, the rest are all from different cities in India.
That's wonderful. So where are you from? Let me know. I mean, you are from? You are from Calcutta. But you are from?
I am from Pune, but I stay in Bhopal.
You stay in Bhopal? I've been to Bhopal. It's wonderful. It's very clean now. No?
Indore is better.
Indore is better. Oh, sorry. So you are from?
Jaipur.
Jaipur, Pink City. You are from?
Meerut, Uttar Pradesh.
Meerut, I've been there. So I know all these cities.
Gurugram.
Oh, Gurugram. It's mostly Delhi and CR, right? It's more Delhi now. And you are from Delhi. So you love Delhi, right? So you want to write an ode on Delhi, right? So that's what. So it's not about Calcutta. It can be from Delhi. You can be from anywhere. You can be from the Eskimo land, but still you love that place because that is where you have grown up. You are from where?
Jammu and Kashmir.
Jammu and Kashmir. I mean, from Srinagar or from other?
Anantnag.
Anantnag, I've been there, so I know this place. So wonderful. So you actually go through Anantnag, you travel through Anantnag in order to go to Gulmarg. Pahalgam, you go to Pahalgam. Yes, right. So it's a wonderful place. Really jealous that you come from here because they're really, really wonderful. So all of you, I mean, I can ask all these places, but more than that, you should love your own place, right? So try to look around and create that place. Let us look at it. I am from Calcutta. I love Calcutta. That's fine. But you are from Anantnag. You are from Gurugram. You are from Meerut. I want to know about your city the way you know. Because I go there only for 2 days. How can I know that city that well? So you have to do it in an interesting way. That atmosphere should be there. So Satyajit Ray was a great filmmaker. You all know about him, right? But do you know he started his career as a children's book illustrator?
Yes, yeah.
You know that?
Yeah.
Why? So this is it.
My school library teacher told me about it.
Wonderful, wonderful. I mean, I'm happy that he or she, whoever it may be, told. So this is actually. Have you heard of this film called Pather Panchali, the Song of the Road?
Yes.
You haven't. Don't worry. It's a very, very important film, but you know, this was the children's version. It's in Bengali, but it doesn't matter. What I'm trying to say, this is a children's version. You know, he used to work in this, and it is from here that he got the idea to do Pather Panchali. So what is very interesting is that sometimes, you know, you think that drawing an illustration or a children's book is not good. You know, most of your parents will say that it is waste of time. Why are you spending time in drawing? You know, most of the parents complain sometimes. They don't? My parents used to complain. So if your mama is an illustrator, she will not complain. But say my father was something else, they don't like and they will complain. So that's wonderful for you. So what I'm trying to say is that sometimes illustration gives you ideas that nothing else does. Because it gives you insight to certain nuances of life that nothing can give. So these are illustrations by Satyajit Ray for the children's book. I just want to show it. Look at this fun element. It's very, very fun. You don't have to read the lines. These are in Bengali, doesn't matter. But the fun element, you know, so you can see this the fun. There is a fun in the way he does these things. So this is my presentation. But I want you to do something. Well, I mean, will you be willing to do something for me?
Yes.
I will go, you know, so how much we have?
20 minutes.
Oh, that's wonderful. So what we will do, I will actually go and meet every one of you and talk about this. I will go this way, that way, I'll be random, I'll be trying to guide you. So what books you have written? So you are all writers, wonderful. Look, I haven't met so many writers in one table. I'm the only non-writer here, right? So, you know, you guide me. So what you have written? What you have written?
So I've written an anthology of 5 of my poems, and I published my book as an ebook in 2020.
Wonderful.
That was based on lockdown.
Lockdown. Wonderful. So I've just heard of one. So you have all done your book, right?
No.
Huh?
Sir, someone wrong.
You haven't, but you write.
No, sir.
You don't write. So have you read something?
Yes, sir, not a book.
Yeah. So what do you like now?
Sir, Ruskin one.
You love Ruskin Bond. Wow, I love him as well. You know, I have also illustrated for Ruskin Bond. So yeah, I have. So it's a wonderful.
Which book?
I've actually done supernatural stories. I don't know. It's a very old puffin book. I used to do. It's like 10 years back. So a lot of Ruskin Bond's illustration is done by Gunjan Alawat, my friend. Gunjan is actually doing it. But do you remember any story?
Yes.
You remember. So what I want you to do, can you have that kind of a paper before you?
Yes.
Right? And bring out the paper.
You got
So I'll
paper
just
in your
give maybe, can I go just maybe 5 to 10 minutes up? Will that be a problem?
No, not at all.
No, maybe because I don't know whether all these will complete. Actually,
There are plain papers in the folder.
so there are plain papers, right? In the folder. Can you get it? So
I'm showing this.
I'll go to you. I'll go to you, I'll meet you, and I'll try to talk with you. So if you have paper, so can you do one thing? So you have a fold paper? Yeah. Even this would do, but don't you have this kind of white paper?
White papers.
White paper, big white paper you have. Can you? So can I take one and then I'll. So this is say a big paper, right? This is what is it? This is a blank paper. This is what? This is negative space, right? So for me, what you need to do is you have to fill this negative space with the cover of your book. Now, most of you cannot draw. Doesn't matter. I want the title. I want your name to be written. Okay, you can do it with. Do you have pencils?
Ours is a bit difficult because there's a lot of details.
Don't have to. So what I'll give you the instructions. So you don't have to give detail.
I lost my pencil.
Yeah, I did.
Sir, it should be Mami, sir, he left it.
Oh, look, you have got your pencil
I
back.
left your pencil on my table.
Okay. So
Now I
what-
got the.
So this is your cover. Say, this is your cover. I don't want you to draw in detail. I don't want you to draw in detail. If you have a demon, you don't draw it. No, this is yours. This is yours. No. I don't need it. So basically, this is the cover, right? So you have a cover. You want to draw. Don't draw in detail. I don't want you to draw in detail. So you are drawing a tortoise, right? Or say you are drawing a man. You can draw simple, right? You don't have to. So if you are drawing a frog, you don't have to draw. So if you are drawing a tortoise, for example, you just draw like this, with legs. I'll understand that. Okay? But what I want is what you are looking at. So your book, it's your book. Whatever you have written, your story, the story that you like. Look, I will get to know the story. Don't worry, right?
I'm making my own cover.
So you are making your own cover. So
Can you make a mermaid and a queen?
anything. I have nothing to tell, but what I need to know is when you write, you don't type, you write it like a very interesting way, handwriting, but try to do that, okay? Don't do it in a small, you are doing it in a small page, you want to do it in a small page, you want to fold this? No, do it, I know the back cover, oh, you want to do it. So, what is very interesting is, can you do your own covers?
Yes.
So I just want ideas. If you cannot draw right now, no problem. But what I'll do is I will hear about your stories a bit and I will see whether the ideas are wonderful, crackling, brilliant, and I will also try to add my bit. It may not be that brilliant like you, but it may help you, right? So let us maybe do a bit of the covers, and once you do the covers, just be very quick. Don't have to be, very, very detailed, very, very proper. What you need is the idea. I need the idea. Okay, have you got it? Have you got it?
I'm trying to make it.
Yeah. So please start. Your time starts now, and I'll just get time to grab some water. Right? I'm watching you.
They have colors and everything if they want.
Yeah. So you have colors. If you want, I am more interested. You can always put colors later. but I'm more interested in the idea. What you are doing, the ideas you are putting, and how you are making this so wonderful, so brilliant. And when you go home, you can always give details. If you wish to be in touch with me, I'll give you my email. I think that would be nice. Yeah? I'll be in touch. You write short emails, but you just write, I'll just give you things that you write in a subject. I'll be very happy to take the emails. And maybe one day late, but I'll be back. Because with small children, I always feel that it becomes, I have actually, there are some children who are still friends with me. I have done a summer class. But it's wonderful, nice that, somebody is talking. And even small bits, it helps. I'll give it to you, all of you. Don't worry. And I'll answer you back. If I don't answer you back, you complain here. Right? Tell me. Okay. So what is your book about? But what is beautiful, it's called opposite day. Wow, day, night. So it's actually what? Empty, full. So it's what? It's about opposites. Sorry. So it's about opposites. This is beautiful. Why did you put this so bigger? Very, very nice. I love this. So can you maybe, so when you do this, for example, I just put it here, right? So when you do, say, opposite, right? Okay? You see? Day, right? You color something images black. And this is white. Then it becomes, what's your name?
Yes.
What is it? Then you write it like this. Ari. So I just played around with fonts. And can you think of something very interesting which is opposite to each other? So can we do one thing? Can we divide the cover into a day and a night? So can we give blue color here? And we give, so this is blue because this is dark blue, right? And this is light blue. Can we do that? Don't you think this is more interesting? So now you know, right? You don't just put anything, you just draw. What you do is you also try to make this symbolic, make this talk. So do you like what I have told you?
Yes.
So now you understand, no? This is a wonderful idea, wonderful idea, wonderful idea. Great, great. So let me see what are you all doing. Sorry. One. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I don't know whether this is funny. Is it okay? Sometimes you need a reference, right? And this is for everybody. Sometimes you want to draw a man, right? Or a woman, and the expression is not there, and you want to do it like that. So can you do one thing? You all are wonderful actors and actresses, right? So what is the best way? And this is something I do. Say I'm crushed here. I'm crushed. So you can actually do this and get somebody to picture you. And then try to do it yourself. That's a wonderful way. Don't go to references, don't go to internet. You try to do it yourself because then the feel comes through. right? Because so I'm fearful. So if I do this, I'm fearful. And you do it in a mobile phone, and you then put your mobile and then try to draw it your way. That makes an impact. That gets an emotional connect, right? That's very important. Tell me.
So this is about the Princess Wears murder of the friend.
Okay, so it's a murder mystery, right?
Yeah.
So this is something very interesting. You have actually given the colors which are very important, right?
Yeah, so the blood is dropping from the sword.
So this is actually the sword. Okay. So one thing, Anusha, first of all, the title should be bigger because it's called White and Sunset, and it's a very interesting title. I mean, is it published?
No.
You are going to do it. Yes, you are definitely going to do it. But can you do this White and Sunset in a slightly bigger way?
Yeah.
Because you can put it here because there is space. And Anusha, maybe can you do it a bit bigger as well?
Right.
So then this comes out in a much interesting manner. Okay? And this is why the seal is actually.
Exactly, sir. I just.
This is beautiful. The concept is wonderful.
And-
Lovely. And why did you arrange it in this way?
I left less negative space because.
Yeah, because it's about
focus-
you want to give more voice, right? You want more pens to
I
come
want
in.
more. This focus point is the pen, so it's obvious that I don't need much negative space because all these.
I know. I love this.
So
But
that's-
but do you think this writing
It's
it in a way
exactly-
interesting?
So, yeah, I could have.
So did you
done-
learn something from this?
Yes, exactly. So the first thing I have to do is that I have to make the title bigger,
Yeah.
and I have to do it in much innovative way. I have.
But you can do that. But the idea is there. Your idea is just wonderful.
Yes.
So you're from Anantnag, right?
Yes, sir.
So you write,
Yes, sir, I do write.
and don't call me sir. I feel a bit older, more older. So you write, right? And have you published, or you are going to publish?
No, I published my one book, and I'm working on my second.
Second, this is really good. This is very good conceptually. What you can do also is Adiba, right?
Yes.
So what is Adiba? What is the meaning?
Right.
Adiba is writer?
Yes.
Wow, so somebody has predicted it. So wonderful. So what you can do is, can you slightly, this is beautiful, the dimension is smaller. When you do it well, you can actually make these different. Look at this different pens, because everything is different.
Different, exactly.
Everybody has a different
Different
voice.
pen, exactly.
Different pen, different signature. So can you that pen then become, it has a, so it's just making of a wonderful cover, right? Wonderful cover. So we
We'll go around and
yeah, please do that. So, is this much better now? With the clouds and everything? And the bird flying? Huh? Wonderful. Great. Tell me. Yes, sir.
It should be published.
Yeah, what is it called? What is it called?
It's about a girl who lives on the edge of mushroom, but she just has to open the door to another side of the
Okay, so that is why the door is
and
actually
there is
very.
a hand extending that means that there is another tree that can be brighter.
Wonderful. So the background should be a bit more. So the color will actually differentiate it, right? So can you do one thing? So your name is Devangana. So Devangana, can you do slightly bigger? Maybe the title, because I mean not title. This one, your name, and then it makes it bigger. So have you finished? The title is written. Is it for sun salutations? I have what? Yeah, you have written it. Yeah, this is much better, right? 9 o'clock is much better, and this you need to color, to make this much more. This is wonderful now. Don't you think this is much better now? Maybe the flames can be a bit brighter. Okay? Yes, wonderful. If you are coloring it, wonderful. This looks now much better. So I've made a huge mistake that I didn't bring my own, covers, my own stuff here. So maybe you can search Pinaki Day and a lot of covers will come up. I normally do book for, adults, right?
The writers like Rusty Mom.
I have done only one for Ruskin Bond, but there are other writers like Amitabh Ghosh. Huh?
Which one?
I have done for Kunal Basu, Amitabh Ghosh, I have done for other writers. When you grow older, you will read them, right? So maybe I just search one, maybe the one, but this is a tough book to do. So you must have seen.
You have done the drawing?
Yes, I have to do it. Look, I am very old, that is why I can draw a bit detail. But the drawing is not important here. This is actually about a dog man, right? A man like a dog. Okay? So I have transposed it into it. So this is one cover I have done. I can actually show you.
Illustrator's name is not there, very bad.
Next there at the back. I mean, you cannot have it here, but the books that are completely illustrated, there my name is there. But the children's book normally contains the illustrator's name.
The picture book.
The picture, bigger books I have drawn so much is there at the back prominently, but that's a problem. So I'll just wrap up. Just a minute. Okay. So we have done it very interestingly. We have taken a photograph. It's about. So I have actually used a very different layout. This is for a much bigger kind of a book. Huh?
You have made this?
I have made this. So when you grow up, you will make better than this. I'm 200% sure you will make better than this. And this is something, I'm not telling you to flatter all. I know that you will make better than me. That much I am 100% sure. So next time, if we meet ever, or maybe anywhere, and you are always connected to me, I'll give you my email. It's very simple. If you wish to write to me, my name is Pinaki, okay? And my email is Pinakide, Pinakide.
Can you just write it on?
Yeah. I think I should write it.